After law school, I went and worked with the lawyers who had been the people that I was working with in the summers. And I did that for quite a while. And then I went to work at Columbia Law School. And there was at Columbia Law School a program called clinical education, where the students went to law school and sat in big classes and learned the law, but then there were opportunities to represent clients in a variety of different venues and for a variety of different reasons. When I was hired at the law school, one of the first cases that we took on early in the 20-some years that I was ultimately there was a case of a group of women at Newsweek magazine. The women had come to me and said, the men get hired as in this level, doing writing and information gathering and putting together documents that their names go on. We have the same educations they did. We have the same training they had. All we do is look things up to make sure that the guys got it right, because you always need to have somebody checking the information. We're not ready to keep doing that for the rest of our lives. So we put together a set of information that was very helpful. It was one of the first cases that I had taken on when I got to Columbia, and I was working with another professor, but he was a tax professor who also loved civil rights. And the day before we were supposed to go and talk to the management of Newsweek to say, put up or shut up, but much more cordially, we went to lunch together, and George said to me, Harriet, I'm not going with you tomorrow. You need to do this, and you can. And I was gobsmacked. I was terrified about it. But he kept saying, I know you can do this, and you need to do this now, because these women need you. It was one of the most gracious, kind things that could ever have happened. And it turned a corner for me as a lawyer. I keep up with George. I see him. He remembers. But we went to see the people at Newsweek and ultimately settled a case for the women who are now all across this full scope of Newsweek magazine. There were two other really big cases that we tried during that period. And when I say we, I mean my students. These were law students and me. These were kids who were where I had been some years before. The next case we tried was a case at Reader's Digest. Reader's Digest was a very popular magazine. Everybody liked it. Reader's Digest had women working there. There was, in fact, a gigantic room full of women who did nothing but open up mail to Newsweek, to Reader's Digest, and make sure that people were paying their fees. That was about as well as they could expect ever to do at Newsweek. At Reader's Digest. It turned out, however, that there were some women who were actually doing a different kind of work, the kind of work that men did. We asked for all the documents that we were entitled to see whether we were right about whether the women were getting the same pay, the same perquisites, the same opportunities as the men who were doing the same job those women were. It will come as no surprise. There were two different sets of papers, one with the names of all the men who were working to put out the magazine. And those documents frequently said things like, so-and-so just bought a new house and just got married, bought a new house. We need to give him a raise. There were also a set of documents completely separate for the women who got none of the kinds of opportunities the men got. So they could get a 2% raise, 3% raise. But the big things like getting a loan to buy a house or something like that wasn't ever going to happen for them. Newsweek, Reader's Digest, and the New York Times were the three big cases. And I still keep up with people in all of those places. And it's been a delight to remember them all the time. One of the people at Newsweek is still a friend who lives in my neighborhood. And all of the women who started the case at the New York Times are still people I see many times a year. It's been rewarding for all of us. So the students were doing those cases. The students brought Newsweek to its knees. The students and I brought Reader's Digest to its knees, and the same for the New York Times. It was wonderful to work with them. The kids were so thrilled and excited. And there are many of these students who I see from time to time who have gone on to do amazing, amazing things with their lives as lawyers. And it was not that I'm responsible for that. It was that we gave them the opportunity to see what it would be like if they didn't follow the regular tradition of going to a law firm, becoming a partner, and doing that kind of work for your whole life. Not that there's anything at all wrong with it, but not everybody wanted to do that. And especially the women had a chance to do the other things.